we are all brought up with what I call survival strategies. There are these cognitive habits and routines, the way our minds make sense of the world, and they are things that we acquired at an early age, and we get fixed on them. We get fixated that, oh, I am this kind of person, or I need to have this kind of job to have a fulfilling life, or I need to hit these achievement markers if I really want to be happy. And those oftentimes aren't necessarily things that we've written for ourselves. They're stories that we've inherited from others. And but we hold on to them because we think they're so vital for our survival. And it's terrifying to let go of them. And so where I see resistance from students is they oftentimes are afraid to look into what's behind these things or let go of what's behind these things or even just critically examine them because they cling to them so tightly.
Well, one of the things that as I read the book, it was clear you were being, in some places, even uncomfortably transparent. And you said the class has changed you as well. Tell me how did teaching it change the way and reshape the way that you kind of live in your own skin?
Yes, it was a little challenging when I was writing the book because I didn't want it to be solipsistic. It's a book about the self, and I didn't want it to be about myself, per se. Yep. But inevitably, I think I had to share some parts of my own story here as well.
I think it works.
And well, thank you. And to realize, I'm not some sort of marbleized authority from on high. I'm a human being groping with all of this, just as everyone else is. And I think the course has helped me in just my own perspective of where I am on this. And maybe to describe this, I have to talk a little bit more about how I describe the self here,
okay, please,
is in the book. So one of the most common misconceptions that we have about the self is that it's a thing, that it's some sort of fixed, static entity. And that's, I think, reflects this intuitive notion of self as this like singular, stable, and maybe even eternal soul that we carry around. But if you look at your physicality, there's nothing static about you. Mm-hmm. We are dynamic beings from the molecular level, from the cellular level, even the psychological level. Our consciousness is continually updated every millisecond by, electrical impulses coursing through our neurons. There is nothing static about us. And what that means is that we are not things, we are processes. At our core, we are
Explain that word,
processes.
Because that's a loaded word in a lot of ways.
Yes. So once again, let me explain this. So what really differentiates us as living beings is that we are energy systems like everything else in the universe, but we are energy systems that are resisting entropy. That's really sort of what at our core defines us as a life form.
And explain for folks what entropy is.
Entropy is the great degradation of energy that's occurring in the universe. So at the beginning of the universe, in the timeless non-moment before the Big Bang, was the highest potential for something to happen. It was the potential for an entire universe. And ever since the Big Bang, we've been seeing a degradation of that potential. The universe doesn't have enough high potent energy to continue making stars and galaxies. At some point, it's going to stop making them all together. And everything is this is the second law of thermodynamics in physics, and everything is headed towards this end. But there's one thing that pushes back against that, and that's life. And to really want to know what yourself is, it actually stems from this weird fact about what it means to be alive, and that the self are all the processes that negotiate between you as an energy system and reality. They're all the things that are there to keep this flame of life going. And
great way to explain it, by the way.
Oh, thanks. And so that's, it could be everything from your cellular metabolism is a part of yourself, to the way your cognition gets organized, your emotions that arise, to, even in our case, having names and identities and having a storyline for your life. All of these are parts of the self, and they're all there to help kind of negotiate with reality. And even though sometimes it's sort of like, well, me sitting in front of the TV vegging out, how is that helping negotiate with reality? Well, it's part of that whole process too, even it may not seem like it's necessary. And so what we mean by processes is that these things are continually getting updated. Every moment you're storing a memory. Every moment you are changing. And one of the things that's great about this is that, we're not stuck. It's easy for us to sometimes get caught in this negative cycle of, oh, I'm a bad person, or I'm an inherently flawed person, or that nobody likes me, and think of ourselves as fixed in some ways. But we're not fixed. We're, as Buckminster Fuller said, we're not nouns, we're verbs. And what that means is that every moment is an opportunity to readjust these processes. They're dynamic and they're unfolding.